Parents trust babysitters with their most precious treasures, believing they've chosen someone who will nurture, protect, and care for their children. But what if the person you trust turns out to be a hidden monster? In a quiet, unsuspecting suburb, a seemingly perfect babysitter wormed her way into the hearts of a loving family, only to unleash a nightmare that no one could have predicted. Beneath her warm smile and kind demeanor lay a dark, twisted soul capable of unimaginable cruelty. This is the story of betrayal, terror, and the chilling realization that the true danger was already inside their home. In a picturesque suburb known for its friendly neighbors and peaceful streets, the Petersons were a typical family with busy lives. Sarah and Michael Peterson had demanding jobs that required long hours, and they often found themselves scrambling for childcare for their 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily was a sweet and imaginative girl who loved drawing and playing with her stuffed animals, but finding the right babysitter for her had always been a challenge. When they came across Amanda Collins, it felt like their prayers had been answered. Amanda was a 25-year-old woman with an impressive resume, boasting years of childcare experience and glowing recommendations. She was polite, articulate, and seemed genuinely interested in Lily's well-being. During the interview, Amanda charmed the Petersons with her warmth, immediately connecting with Lily by asking about her favorite toys and drawing alongside her. Sarah felt a sense of relief wash over her. This woman seemed perfect. Amanda was available to start right away, which was a blessing for the Petersons, who had a big work event approaching. She quickly became a regular presence in their home, stepping into her role seamlessly. On her first day, she arrived early, prepared snacks for Lily, and even cleaned up the playroom without being asked. Sarah was thrilled to come home to a tidy house and a happy child, and Michael was equally impressed. Amanda was everything they had hoped for in a babysitter: responsible, proactive, and engaging. But Amanda's perfection wasn't limited to her actions. She had a way of making people feel at ease, like she was an old friend stepping in to help. The Petersons felt lucky to have found someone so dependable and caring. Sarah even began recommending Amanda to her friends, praising her ability to keep Lily entertained while ensuring she stuck to her bedtime routine. Unbeknownst to the Petersons, Amanda had perfected the art of masking her true intentions. While she appeared nurturing and attentive, she was carefully observing the family, learning their routines and vulnerabilities. She ingratiated herself so thoroughly that the Petersons began to overlook small inconsistencies. Amanda would sometimes mention previous families she had worked for, but the details didn't always add up. She occasionally deflected questions about her past with vague answers or charming anecdotes that distracted from the topic. Lily, who had initially been excited about spending time with Amanda, started showing subtle signs of discomfort. She became unusually clingy with her parents, often asking if she could come along instead of staying with Amanda. At first, Sarah and Michael dismissed these changes as Lily adjusting to a new caregiver, but there was an unshakable feeling that something wasn't quite right. The signs were easy to overlook. Amanda's friendly demeanor and apparent devotion to Lily made it hard to believe there could be anything wrong. For now, Amanda's facade remained intact. The Petersons continued to trust her implicitly, unaware that the woman they had welcomed into their home carried a darkness that would soon shatter their lives. As Amanda settled into her role as Lily's babysitter, her presence in the Peterson household became a near daily occurrence. Sarah and Michael found themselves relying on her more and more, appreciating her willingness to step in at a moment's notice. Amanda seemed to fit into their lives so perfectly that they began treating her like part of the family, even inviting her to join them for dinners on occasion. Yet, as time went on, small inconsistencies and unsettling details began to emerge, details that Sarah initially brushed aside but would later haunt her. It started with Lily's behavior. Once a bubbly and talkative child, she began to grow unusually quiet around Amanda. Sarah noticed that Lily's laughter became less frequent, replaced by a reserved, almost nervous demeanor. At first, Sarah thought it might be related to school or the adjustment of having a new babysitter. But the changes didn't stop there. Lily began clinging to Sarah when she came home from work, something she hadn't done before. She often asked, "Do you have to leave again tomorrow?" Or can I come with you? The questions, though innocent, carried a weight that made Sarah uneasy. There were other red flags too, though they seemed minor at the time. Toys that didn't belong to Lily began appearing in her room. When Sarah asked where they came from, Amanda would dismissively say she had brought them as gifts. While this seemed thoughtful, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that it was strange for Amanda to give Lily so many toys without mentioning it beforehand. Then there were the incidents with Lily's belongings. Her favorite stuffed animal, a small rabbit named Mr. Flopsy, went missing for days before mysteriously reappearing under the couch. Lily swore she had left it on her bed, but Amanda claimed she must have misplaced it while playing. One evening, Sarah came home early from work and noticed something peculiar. Amanda had prepared a snack for Lily, but it was something completely different from what she had been told Lily liked. Lily, who was a picky eater, had barely touched it. When Sarah asked Amanda why she hadn't given Lily her usual snack, Amanda smiled and said, "Oh, I thought she might like to try something new." She seemed excited about it. But Lily's hesitant expression told a different story. The turning point came when Lily began having nightmares. She would wake up crying in the middle of the night, saying things like, "Don't let her lock me in," or "I don't want to play her scary game." When Sarah asked her to explain, Lily would become visibly distressed and refuse to elaborate. Sarah's heart broke as she held her daughter, but Amanda's warm demeanor made it hard to believe she could be the cause. Michael tried to reassure Sarah, suggesting Lily was just adjusting to the changes in their routine. But Sarah's instincts told her something wasn't right. As more unsettling moments piled up, Sarah began to question her judgment. Amanda was so good at putting on a convincing act that Sarah felt like she might be overreacting. But the growing tension in the house was undeniable, and the seed of doubt had been planted. Little did Sarah know, the truth about Amanda would soon come to light in the most horrifying way imaginable. Sarah couldn't shake the unease that had settled over her. Her maternal instincts were screaming that something was wrong, and yet every time she looked at Amanda's friendly smile and seemingly nurturing demeanor, she second-guessed herself. But Lily's nightmares were becoming more frequent, and her behavior continued to shift in troubling ways. Desperate for answers, Sarah confided in Michael, and together they decided to take action. To put their concerns to rest or confirm their worst fears, they installed hidden cameras throughout the house. The cameras were small and discreet, placed in areas where Amanda and Lily spent the most time. It was a difficult decision, but the Petersons were determined to protect their daughter, even if it meant invading Amanda's privacy. For the first few days, the footage seemed harmless. Amanda played with Lily, read her stories, and even tucked her into bed with what appeared to be genuine care. Sarah began to wonder if they had been mistaken. But on the fourth day, everything changed. As Sarah reviewed the latest recordings, her heart sank. Amanda's demeanor shifted drastically when she was alone with Lily. The sweet, attentive babysitter became cold and impatient, snapping at the child over the smallest things. Sarah's hands trembled as she continued watching. The most horrifying moment came when Amanda forced Lily into a dark closet, ignoring her cries and pleas to be let out. Amanda's voice, once so gentle and soothing, was now harsh and menacing. "You stay in there until you learn to behave," she hissed. Sarah couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her mind raced as she tried to process the reality of what had been happening under their roof. As if that weren't enough, there was more. Amanda would tamper with Lily's meals, mixing in substances that made no sense, powdered herbs, liquid drops from an unlabeled bottle, and even crushed pills. Lily's hesitance to eat suddenly made horrifying sense. Sarah and Michael were sick with guilt for not acting sooner, and the realization that they had trusted Amanda with their child left them devastated. The next day, Sarah confronted Amanda, keeping her emotions in check to avoid alerting her to the evidence they had gathered. Amanda, as usual, played her role perfectly, smiling warmly and pretending to be concerned about Lily's recent nightmares. Sarah's stomach churned at the blatant lies. She and Michael made the decision to call the police, presenting the footage as undeniable evidence of Amanda's abusive behavior. The authorities acted quickly, arresting Amanda later that evening. Sarah held Lily tightly as the officers led Amanda away, her expression chillingly void of remorse. The Petersons felt a mix of relief and overwhelming guilt, knowing how close they had come to missing the signs. Amanda had fooled them so completely that they had ignored their own instincts, and the cost had been their daughter's safety. Though Amanda was out of their lives, the damage she had caused lingered. Lily's nightmares persisted, and Sarah and Michael knew they had a long road ahead to rebuild their daughter's trust and sense of security. The illusion of safety they had once taken for granted had been shattered, replaced by the harsh reality of betrayal. The Petersons vowed never to let their guard down again, but the scars Amanda had left would remain with them forever. After Amanda's arrest, the Petersons thought the worst was over, but they quickly learned that the nightmare was far from finished. The investigation into Amanda's past revealed a chilling history that left Sarah and Michael reeling. Amanda wasn't just an abusive babysitter. She was a master manipulator with a trail of victims behind her. The police uncovered that she had worked for multiple families over the years, moving from one town to the next, leaving a pattern of unsettling incidents in her wake. Several families reported stolen belongings, strange illnesses among their children, and, in some cases, allegations of abuse that were difficult to prove. Amanda always managed to slip away before any real consequences caught up to her. The Petersons were horrified to learn that Amanda had used multiple fake identities to hide her tracks. Her references were fabricated, and the glowing reviews she provided to potential employers were completely fraudulent. As the media caught wind of the story, Amanda's face appeared on news broadcasts and social media feeds across the country. Parents who had once trusted her came forward with their own stories, painting a grim picture of her dark legacy. For Sarah and Michael, the revelations brought an unbearable mix of guilt and anger. They had unknowingly allowed a predator into their home, exposing Lily to unimaginable harm. Sarah couldn't stop replaying the footage in her mind, haunted by the image of Amanda locking Lily in the closet and the child's terrified cries. Michael buried himself in work, unable to face the full weight of what had happened, while Sarah devoted herself to helping Lily heal. Lily, meanwhile, struggled to recover from the trauma. She became withdrawn, afraid to sleep alone and reluctant to trust anyone outside her immediate family. Sarah took time off work to be with her, filling their days with comforting routines and endless reassurance. But the scars Amanda had left weren't just emotional. A medical examination revealed traces of an unknown substance in Lily's system, which doctors believed Amanda had been administering in small doses. The substance, while not lethal, had caused lethargy, nausea, and mood swings in Lily, symptoms that Amanda had likely used to further manipulate the situation. The Petersons became consumed by a need for justice. They worked closely with law enforcement, sharing every detail of their experience and urging other victims to come forward. The investigation eventually uncovered evidence linking Amanda to several unsolved cases of child abuse and neglect, solidifying her status as a dangerous predator. As the trial approached, the Petersons prepared to face Amanda in court. Sarah dreaded the idea of seeing her again, but knew she needed to speak out for Lily and every other child Amanda had harmed. The prosecution built a strong case, supported by the damning footage from the Petersons' home and testimony from other families. Amanda, who had always managed to evade accountability, now faced the full weight of the law. While the Petersons were determined to see Amanda punished, they also knew the damage she had done would linger long after the trial ended. Their once happy home was now a place of shadows, filled with the echoes of a betrayal they would never forget. The fight for justice gave them a sense of purpose, but the road to healing was only just beginning. The day of Amanda's trial was one of mixed emotions for the Peterson family. Sarah and Michael felt relief that justice might finally be served, but they also dreaded reliving the horrors that Amanda had inflicted on their family. The courtroom was packed, with media outlets and curious onlookers eager to hear the details of the case that had gripped the nation. Amanda sat expressionless at the defense table, her cold demeanor unshaken, even as damning evidence was presented against her. The Petersons could only wonder how someone so seemingly ordinary could mask such darkness. The prosecution wasted no time painting a vivid picture of Amanda's manipulative and abusive behavior. The footage from the Petersons' home was played for the jury, And the chilling images of Amanda locking Lily in the closet and tampering with her food left the courtroom in stunned silence. Sarah's testimony was gut-wrenching as she described the changes in Lily's behavior, the nightmares, and the guilt she felt for not recognizing the signs sooner. Michael spoke about the anguish of discovering they had trusted someone who had actively harmed their child, his voice breaking as he recounted the moment they watched the footage for the first time. But the most compelling testimony came from other families who had fallen victim to Amanda's schemes. Parents recounted similar patterns of behavior, stolen items, unexplained illnesses, and unsettling changes in their children's demeanor. A mother tearfully described how her child had developed severe anxiety after being cared for by Amanda, while another family revealed that Amanda had stolen thousands of dollars worth of jewelry during her time with them. Each story added to the mountain of evidence against her, painting a portrait of a woman who thrived on manipulation and control. Amanda's defense team attempted to portray her as misunderstood, claiming that the footage was taken out of context and that the allegations were exaggerated. They argued that Amanda's actions, while unconventional, were not malicious, and that she had simply been overwhelmed by the demands of her job. But the jury was unmoved, especially after hearing testimony from a forensic psychologist who described Amanda's calculated behavior as indicative of a dangerous personality disorder. After days of emotional testimony and compelling evidence, the jury deliberated for only a few hours before reaching a verdict. Amanda was found guilty on multiple counts, including child endangerment, abuse, and fraud. The judge sentenced her to 25 years in prison, ensuring she would no longer pose a threat to vulnerable families. For the Petersons, the verdict brought a sense of closure, but it was bittersweet. No sentence could undo the trauma Amanda had caused, but knowing she was behind bars offered some measure of comfort. In the months that followed, the Petersons focused on rebuilding their lives. Therapy became a cornerstone of their recovery, with Sarah, Michael, and Lily attending sessions together and individually. They also became advocates for parental awareness, speaking at community events about the importance of vetting caregivers and trusting instincts. While the scars of their experience remained, they were determined not to let Amanda's actions define their future. Slowly but surely, their family began to heal, united by their resilience and love for one another. With Amanda behind bars, the Petersons were finally able to begin the long process of reclaiming their lives. But the road to healing was anything but simple. The damage Amanda had caused ran deep, not only in Lily's fragile sense of security, but also in Sarah and Michael's faith in their ability to protect their family. The once carefree household now bore the weight of caution and hypervigilance, with every new experience viewed through a lens of fear and doubt. Yet, the Petersons were determined to rise above the shadows Amanda had cast over their lives. Lily's recovery became their top priority. Therapy sessions with a child psychologist helped her process the trauma she had endured, though progress came in small, sometimes frustrating increments. Lily still hesitated to trust adults outside her immediate family, and she often awoke from vivid nightmares that left her trembling and tearful. Sarah would sit beside her, whispering reassurances and holding her close until the fears subsided. Over time, Lily began to find comfort in small, predictable routines, like baking cookies with her mom or drawing pictures to express her emotions. These moments of normalcy were precious victories, each one a step forward in her healing journey. For Sarah and Michael, the guilt lingered. They couldn't escape the haunting question: how had they missed the signs? While their friends and family reassured them they had done the best they could, it was a sentiment that didn't fully quell their self-recrimination. Michael threw himself into researching warning signs of predatory behavior, becoming almost obsessive about protecting Lily and other children. Sarah, on the other hand, found solace in community action. She partnered with local organizations to create a network of resources for families seeking trustworthy caregivers, sharing their story as a cautionary tale and urging parents to trust their instincts, no matter how irrational they might seem at the time. As months turned into a year, the Petersons found themselves slowly reclaiming pieces of their happiness. Lily began smiling more, her laughter returning to their home in fleeting but cherished moments. The scars Amanda had left were still there, but they were fading, replaced by resilience and a newfound sense of vigilance. The Petersons learned to balance their caution with a determination not to let fear dictate their lives. The family also found closure in knowing Amanda would never harm another child. Her conviction and prison sentence served as a stark warning to others like her, and the media coverage of the case spurred conversations about the importance of thorough background checks and trusting parental intuition. In a way, their pain had created a ripple effect, inspiring others to be more proactive in protecting their loved ones. On the anniversary of Amanda's arrest, the Petersons gathered as a family to reflect on how far they had come. Lily, now a year older and visibly more confident, hugged her parents tightly and thanked them for always believing in her. Sarah and Michael exchanged a look of pride and relief, knowing that while their family had been tested, they had emerged stronger. The Petersons had faced their darkest chapter, and though the memories would never fully fade, they had reclaimed their light, proving that even in the wake of betrayal, love and resilience could prevail.